In some states, a single traffic stop can turn into a nightmare for immigrants. Laws allow police to demand proof of status, creating fear in everyday life. Families live with the constant worry that one mistake could lead to separation. Some states even ban basic support, like health care and education, leaving immigrants with no safety net. This video will reveal the states where immigrants face the most difficult barriers and why these policies exist. You'll discover how these laws shape lives and communities, and what it means for anyone seeking safety or opportunity. Which states have made life the hardest for immigrants? The answers may shock you. Stay with us to uncover the full story. Number 1. South Carolina. South Carolina has implemented strict immigration policies that significantly impact undocumented immigrants. In 2011, the state passed Senate Bill 20, which authorized law enforcement officers to check the immigration status of individuals during stops or arrests if there was reasonable suspicion of illegal presence. This law also made it a state crime to harbor or transport undocumented immigrants. However, key provisions of SB 20 were permanently blocked in 2013 following a legal challenge by civil rights groups, citing concerns over racial profiling and civil liberties. Despite these legal setbacks, South Carolina continues to enforce policies that deter undocumented immigrants. The state prohibits sanctuary cities, ensuring that local governments cooperate with federal immigration authorities. This means that municipalities cannot adopt policies that limit the enforcement of federal immigration laws, effectively preventing the establishment of safe havens for undocumented immigrants within the state. These stringent measures have created an environment where undocumented immigrants face significant challenges in accessing education, employment, and public services. The fear of detention and deportation has led many to live in the shadows, avoiding interactions with authorities and limiting their participation in community life. This climate of apprehension affects not only the undocumented population, but also the broader community, as it hinders social cohesion and economic integration. Number 2. Arkansas. Arkansas has adopted a firm stance on immigration enforcement, particularly concerning sanctuary policies. In 2019, Governor Asa Hutchinson signed legislation that prohibits local governments from enacting sanctuary policies, thereby mandating cooperation with federal immigration authorities. This law ensures that cities and counties cannot implement measures that would restrict the enforcement of federal immigration laws within their jurisdictions. The state's approach reflects a broader trend among certain states to assert control over immigration enforcement at the local level. By banning sanctuary cities, Arkansas aims to prevent the establishment of areas where undocumented immigrants might seek refuge from federal immigration enforcement. This policy aligns with the state's commitment to upholding federal immigration laws and maintaining strict oversight over immigration matters. These policies have significant implications for undocumented immigrants residing in Arkansas. The prohibition of sanctuary cities means that undocumented individuals have limited options for seeking protection from deportation. This environment fosters a sense of vulnerability among immigrant communities, as they may be less likely to report crimes or engage with public services due to fear of immigration enforcement. The lack of sanctuary policies also affects community trust in law enforcement, potentially hindering public safety efforts. Number 3. Tennessee. Tennessee has enacted legislation that intensifies immigration enforcement within the state. In July 2024, the state implemented Senate Bill 2576, which requires local law enforcement agencies to verify the immigration status of individuals they detain. This mandate obliges officers to check the immigration status of detainees and report undocumented individuals to federal authorities, thereby increasing the state's involvement in immigration enforcement. The enactment of SB 2576 has raised concerns among immigrant communities and civil rights organizations. Critics argue that such measures may lead to racial profiling and erode trust between law enforcement and immigrant populations. The requirement for local authorities to enforce federal immigration laws blurs the lines between local policing and federal responsibilities, potentially diverting resources from community policing efforts. For undocumented immigrants in Tennessee, these policies create an atmosphere of heightened scrutiny and fear. The obligation for law enforcement to verify immigration status during detentions means that routine interactions with police can result in detention and deportation. This environment discourages undocumented individuals from engaging with law enforcement, even when they are victims or witnesses of crimes, thereby impacting public safety and community relations. Number 4. Idaho. Idaho has taken legislative steps to enhance immigration enforcement at the state level. In March 2024, the Idaho House of Representatives passed a bill authorizing local law enforcement to detain undocumented immigrants. This legislation empowers local authorities to enforce federal immigration laws, reflecting the state's commitment to stringent immigration control. The bill's passage has sparked debate regarding the role of local law enforcement in immigration matters. Supporters argue that it strengthens the state's ability to address illegal immigration, while opponents raise concerns about potential civil rights violations and the strain on local resources. The involvement of local police in federal immigration enforcement may also impact community trust and cooperation with law enforcement agencies. For undocumented immigrants in Idaho, this legislation signifies increased risks of detention and deportation. The empowerment of local authorities to enforce immigration laws means that everyday activities, such as traffic stops or reporting crimes, carry the potential for immigration checks. This environment fosters fear and uncertainty within immigrant communities, affecting their willingness to engage with public services and participate fully in society. Number 5. Alabama. Alabama is known for its strict immigration laws, with policies designed to deter undocumented immigrants from residing in the state. The most significant of these is the controversial HB 56, passed in 2011, which was once described as the toughest immigration law in the country. Among its provisions, the law required schools to check the immigration status of students and made it a crime to provide undocumented immigrants with housing or transportation. The law faced immediate backlash and legal challenges, leading to the removal of several of its provisions. However, Alabama continues to enforce a strict stance against sanctuary cities, prohibiting local governments from limiting cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. This means that police departments and public offices must comply fully with federal requests related to immigration enforcement. These policies have created a climate of fear for undocumented immigrants in Alabama. Families often avoid public services or interactions with law enforcement, fearing detention or deportation. Critics argue that such policies harm not only immigrant communities, but also the broader society by discouraging immigrants from reporting crimes or participating in public life. Number 6. Florida. Florida has implemented some of the most far-reaching anti-immigration policies in recent years. In 2024, the state passed a stringent immigration law, SB 1718, which introduced penalties for businesses hiring undocumented workers and prohibited the use of taxpayer funds to support undocumented immigrants. It also made it illegal to transport undocumented immigrants knowingly, with violators facing felony charges. Florida's policies have extended beyond the workplace. The state also does not recognize out-of-state driver's licenses issued to undocumented immigrants and has banned sanctuary cities. These measures aim to reduce the presence of undocumented immigrants, but they have sparked significant controversy. Many businesses, particularly in agriculture and construction, have reported labor shortages as workers leave the state due to these policies. For immigrant families in Florida, these laws have added layers of complexity and fear to daily life. Critics argue that such policies harm the state's economy and create unnecessary hardships for immigrant communities, while supporters claim they are necessary to uphold law and order. Number 7. Texas. Texas, a state with one of the largest immigrant populations, has taken aggressive steps to crack down on undocumented immigration. In 2017, Texas passed Senate Bill 4, which bans sanctuary cities and requires local law enforcement to cooperate with federal immigration officials. The law also allows police to inquire about a person's immigration status during routine interactions, such as traffic stops. In addition to these measures, Texas has made headlines for its policy of busing migrants to other states. Since 2022, the state has transported tens of thousands of asylum seekers to cities like New York and Chicago as part of its strategy to manage the influx of migrants. While Texas argues this relieves pressure on its border communities, critics view it as a political stunt that shifts the burden onto other states. These policies have created significant challenges for undocumented immigrants in Texas. Fear of deportation often prevents immigrants from accessing basic services or reporting crimes. The state's tough stance has also sparked national debates about immigration policies and states' responsibilities in managing immigration. Number 8. West Virginia. West Virginia is another state where strict immigration policies have been implemented. In 2022, the state passed legislation prohibiting sanctuary cities, requiring full cooperation with federal immigration authorities. This law mandates that local governments and law enforcement agencies assist in identifying and detaining undocumented immigrants. The state's policies aim to align with federal immigration enforcement, but they have also faced criticism. Opponents argue that such measures foster fear within immigrant communities and discourage undocumented individuals from seeking help or reporting crimes. Supporters, however, believe these policies are essential for maintaining law and order. For undocumented immigrants in West Virginia, these laws create a harsh environment. The absence of sanctuary policies leaves little room for relief, and immigrants often live in fear of detention or deportation. While the state's immigrant population is relatively small, these laws send a clear message about its stance on immigration. Understanding how different states handle immigration policies can give us a clearer picture of the challenges many people face. These laws don't just affect immigrants, they impact communities, economies, and the fabric of society as a whole. If you found this video informative, consider sharing it to help others learn about these critical issues. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content that sheds light on important topics. Together, we can stay informed and encourage thoughtful discussions about policies that shape lives. Thank you for watching.